Thank you for listening to this Podcast One production. Now available on Spotify, PodcastOne.com, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.
Amazon is hiring near you. Earn a competitive wage and start as soon as 7 days. No resume or experience required. Health and safety are a top priority with all of our roles and sites, and Amazon is taking precautions in our buildings to keep people healthy. Go to amazon.com/apply. That's amazon.com/apply. Amazon is an equal opportunity employer.
The one thing I can say from my own experience is that we can't let fear and anxiety take us over. While it's beneficial because it kicks you into action, use it to do that. Don't use it to stifle you. Don't use it to suppress you. Use it to make you rise up.
Don't you know that the music should be solemn?
This is Theo Rossi. This is Theory. Hey everybody, this is Theo, and this is Theory. Yeah, this is a pretty crazy time for everybody right now. I was walking the other night and I was thinking of all these different words: similarity, sameness, commonality, things that bind us, things that we look for in these times. And the time I'm speaking about is we are currently in the middle of a global pandemic. And most of us, most people around the world are in lockdown in their homes. And, most businesses are shut down and we're all practicing social and physical distance. And I've been following this for a long time. Since the first cases were reported or kind of when this first occurred, but it still all feels like it happened overnight, that our entire existence as people and as the way we navigate through the world has completely changed and shifted. And with dramatic shifts like that, on the smallest levels, usually incites some type of fear within us. And this was such a global shift that I think sometimes in some moments when we all sit back and kind of take a breath, which is obviously really hard in a situation like this, it's hard to wrap your head around exactly what is going on. I can only speak from my perspective of this, and my perspective is anxiety and fear, and where that comes from, because I'm a functioning, relatively rational human being, is that we don't know what is tomorrow looks like, or what next month looks like, or what the month after that, or for the rest of the year, what this looks like if and when it all wraps up, the picking up the pieces after it. And I don't live in the anxiety and fear, but I also don't deny it. And I think that most people who can look at this have a slight version of that. And that's okay. That's okay. That's part of being human. We just had our entire lives shifted in every single way. So those words I was referring to, that sameness, that commonality, it's kind of what theory is, right? I've always said we're looking for the similarities between us as a people and trying not to focus so much on the differences and see the things that we all have in common. And the one thing that we all have in common right now is our entire worlds have been flipped. Some a lot more than others. Definitely, obviously, my family in New York, all my friends in Los Angeles are feeling it. My friends in Italy, people I speak with in China, they're all feeling it in different ways. And then some people are obviously a lot more anxious or that manifests in their actions and their dailies, and some people just keep it inside. So we have a lot of similarities at this time. And I think the one that we all have inside of us right now, and the one that we're all dealing with, is fear. And again, I say that's okay because it has to be okay. We have to admit it, right? everything has changed. Everything. And I truly believe that everything has changed from here on out. And the reason that is because this has shown us how vulnerable our everyday existence is, which a lot of us, we learn that through losing people suddenly, through our jobs ending, or things not going as planned. We realize how little control we have. Lack of control causes anxiety, causes many other things. This was the ultimate lack of control. And we're all kind of looking towards anything, news, social media, friends, doctors, people we know, in my case, military, government, anybody, just for an answer. But it changes every minute, every hour, every instance. And I'm by no means a scientist or a doctor or infectious disease or anything, but I would assume that is because this is not unknown, but this is kind of unprecedented. Incomparable is what I say to people. Nothing like this has ever happened. Yes, we could talk about the 1918 Spanish flu, and we could talk about Ebola and a lot of other stuff that has happened, but not in the way how globalized we are now. And also in the same way, the way we're all connected now, right? Through the internet and social media and all that kind of stuff. But I can't go into that. I'm not smart enough to go into that whole side of it. All I can go into is kind of me and kind of what I'm dealing with. And I think that I would assume from a lot of people that I've talked to, I find that we're all dealing with kind of that similar stuff, which is that fear of the unknown, the fear of the future. For some people, that fear kicked in immediately because there is no money saved. There is no, they don't know how rent is going to be paid. They don't have the ability to get out to the store if it's, someone who's older or doesn't have the mobility of other people. There's immediate fears that kick in. And then there's people who, like for someone like me who's been, sober over 10 years, there's people who go to meetings all the time and they need that meeting, right? And then there's people who, who exist in a relatively high anxiety place anyway. And now their anxiety is just through the roof, or their depression's through the roof. And then there's other people who play the escapism thing, right? They're constantly escaping their situation, whether it be their marriage or their even though their kids, they're always like on the go, and very rarely do they stay home. So there's all these different things, and this is now all each one of us is individual. So while we're all experiencing this massive change and this slight version of fear or anxiety or whatever you want to call it, or just change in general, we're also each unique in what it is for us and how we're dealing with it, or what it means for us to be in this situation. Someone like me, when I'm not filming, when I'm not, in LA or in New York or, because I live in Austin, I work from home. So I'm always home. I'm always in the office. I'm always on the phone. I'm, always taking the dog out for a walk and talking on the phone or going for a run. So this hasn't changed much of my daily at all. But what it has changed was, future, obviously, right? Projects that were lined up, or knowing that I was going to work at a certain time, or things that were happening. And mine is so incredibly minuscule compared to, say, my brother-in-law, who's a fireman, who's out there every single day. And him and my sister still live while they're building their, fixing their home that they bought. They're living with my mom and stepdad, who are above 70. So he's out every night on the job, and he has to come home, and he's worried that he's going to spread the virus to, my mom and my stepdad. And my sister, who operates on a higher anxiety level, she's having a tough time. My other sister, who has 3 kids, is home with them and figuring out how to manage that, how to navigate that. And then multiple friends who work at arenas or restaurants or bars or in the concert space or anything that have their entire life has technically been erased overnight. So what I'm trying to do, because I'm a problem solver, and for anybody out there who also is a problem solver, they understand that. When you're a problem solver, you look at something and you go, okay, what can I do? How can I fix it? This is a tricky one for me because my thing is to always spring into action. I've always said the people are my purpose. My purpose is the people. I want to help immediately, everyone. But the old way of helping was to get organization, raise money, get people together, do an event, do any event to raise as much money as possible and to put it towards something. So we have all these incredible organizations. Direct Relief is one that I've been, posting about, directrelief.org, and a bunch of others, many others. But where this has changed a little is that it's hard to ask people for money when they have no idea how long this is going to be, right? It's because they don't know, right? You can't have people participate in something in groups or do events or say, hey, I'll bring all the guys from SONS and we'll all get together and everybody will come to this, ballroom and we'll raise money. We can't do that, right? Because we can't have a bunch of people together. And I also have to be super careful of the way I am super careful of the way I navigate things, online because I'm incredibly sensitive to, I'm a blue collar kid. I'm incredibly sensitive to all my friends and family out there who are in a very different position than myself and other people that I know. And I'm not going to be one of these people that's just out there. I don't know. I'm seeing the craziest stuff from people of influence right now. Some people are singing songs. Some people are working out with no shirts on. I don't know what's going on. None of it is benefiting kind of helping, but that's a whole nother topic. So I want to make sure that I'm doing the best I can with the situation we have set up. Because again, my old ways of doing things and my wife, who we met through a charity called the Boot Campaign, and she had been involved with so many, and I've been involved and still currently involved with so many. The way you usually raise funds and take action is in group activities or asking people for money and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of those rules have changed almost kind of as fast as the world has changed. So I don't really have an incredible, life-changing view on all this. The one thing I can say is that to honor the anxiety and the fear that you might have and the uncertainty. And the only reason I say it is because it's something that I have to do. And the reason I have to do that is it gives me the ability to then say, okay, that's there. Now, what do I do about it? How do I move forward on it? This is a very, very tricky situation we're in. In a lot of ways, so many things are going to change after this, it seems. A lot of people, most people I know that I'm friends with, because most people I'm friends with are, people I grew up with and definitely not people in my business have been laid off, or are, restaurant owners or, like I said, bartenders, waiters, Uber drivers, anything, working beverage, working all that. And they're just trying to, a lot of them have lost their jobs and a lot of them are just trying to figure it out. What I'm trying to do is, I have, we're here and we have our kids here, which 2 kids under 5 years old. Bless the heart of every single person that has children at home that are under 5. Teachers should be paid $1 gazillion a year because the energy is absolutely incredible. So we're trying to create structure. So for me, it's like I have to create structure in the chaos. So I have to know from the second I wake up in the morning, I have my entire day scheduled out by hour. And when I say every single thing is scheduled out, I mean like when you're going to go on your phone, when you're going to eat. Because I think in truly chaotic times, which is what we're in right now, uncertainty and all that, like I said, I think that the only thing that you can do is ground yourself. So I'm trying to do that. We're doing that with the kids as well. And it doesn't mean that there's not going to be some improv on it, and that things don't come up and whatever. But I think if you're anxiously searching your phone every 5 minutes, that could be a problem, right? On the other side of it, I have a few people, a couple of friends and a few people I know who have the virus. And there's been, I think that's part of the fear part of this, is that there's been different reactions to it. I have a friend's mom who recently had a stroke. She's 73 years old and she has the virus and was sent home and kind of told to ride it out. And then I have a friend who I worked with on Luke Cage, and his son, who's a power lifter, who's 32 years old, has been on a ventilator for over 10 days. It seems that there's no exact path, right? We had heard it wasn't affecting young people, and now we're hearing it is greatly. We heard it wasn't affecting kids, and now we're hearing it is. So it doesn't seem that there's a true kind of gospel of information here that we can pull from. And again, it seems like it's changing every single day. So again, we lead into this where we're not really sure of anything. There is no, a friend of mine said the other day, there is no Walter Cronkite. There is no like one voice that we can all go around and huddle around the TV and listen to and get our information from. We're getting information from 7 million different things, and we don't even know if they're true. And then a lot of the people who are in places of authority are untrustworthy, or we don't believe them. So it's kind of like a double kick in the ass at this point. You have the global pandemic, and then you really don't have who to listen to. So for me, I'm going on the World Health Organization. Can't even speak. For me, I'm going on the World Health Organization. I'm going on the CDC website. And I'm checking that. And then I'm also talking to friends in Italy, and I email back and forth with someone in China that they're a little further along in the process, so I can kind of see what's coming potentially. Same thing with my family in New York, who seem to be in a pretty different place than we are here in Austin. And same with the friends in LA. So this is just kind of giving you my existence in this, because I don't think mine is very different from anybody else, from what I can see and from, what I'm talking and who I'm talking to. I have, obviously, I'm on as crazy of a lockdown as you can be. I do go out for runs and then I come back, and I do walk the dog and then I come back. And I, obviously I have to, it's not about me at all, right? It's about everybody else. It's about my kids. It's about my wife. It's about anybody else. And I think that's why we're all practicing this, or, I'm just doing what I'm reading on those sites like WHO and CDC. So to talk about and to get into the fear aspect of this is incomparable, because when we've gone through other things, when we've gone through as a people, as a group, when we've watched, things occur from Katrina to 9/11 to Sandy, whether you were part of them or whether you were there, even wars and combat and all that, they were things that happen. And then we assess the situation and we deal with them. And again, what's different with this is that we're dealing with something, yes, but there's so much unknown in front of us. So all we can do, or all I can do, I don't know what anybody else is doing. All I can do is follow the things from the professionals and keep myself on some type of schedule to mitigate the anxiety and the fear that can come from consistently being glued to the news, consistently talking about it all the time. Because, when it ends, and it will, and when, we're back to whatever the version of the world we come into, because I do think it'll be significantly different than what it was before this. I think that a lot of things won't occur the way they used to, and when we do that, whether you follow the news every 5 minutes or every 15 hours, you will hear about it, right? Because, it's a pretty big deal. I always say when news is big enough, I'll find out about it. I don't need to be glued to the news every 5 minutes. But I also understand that the people who do that, and I have a lot of people close to me in my life who do that, that is also a form of control. They want to know everything, every single thing. And listen, man, that's their bag. Nobody's right. Nobody's wrong. It's whatever makes you get through the day. I always tell people that whatever you need. I have zero judgment on anybody, on anything, because I think the things that I do every single day probably are, not rational to people, and the way, eating the same thing every day and running 6 to 10 miles and, very little sleep and all that. I mean, I'm sure that my life looks insane to people, and that's okay, because it's what works for me. I look at other people's lives and I'm like, whoa, but there's no judgment, because that's what they need. And I think in this situation, the one thing is that we all are pretty agreed on is that we need to keep away and keep out of, keep this distance and keep away from each other so it doesn't spread. And obviously, from what I'm hearing, and what I'm learning and educating myself on is that the major concern here is it's all happening at once, right? And the flooding of the healthcare system, right? I just heard recently that, and I don't know how true this is, that New York has only 3,000 ICU beds, and obviously that's not nearly enough if this thing all hits at the same time. So that's why we're all doing what we're doing and being pretty vigilant about it. I mean, for me, it's like, down to, no shoes in the house. And when you come in from somewhere, we're wiping the bottom of our shoes with like the antibacterial wipes. So, and I don't know if that does anything. I'm just saying that's what we're doing. So to me, it's about the mental right now. I think that a lot of people, I have friends that have lost their husbands, people that have lost their spouses, people who have just gone, now living alone in studio apartments, people who are older, like I said, who can't get to the stores. There's a lot of, this is hard for a lot of people. And there's a tremendous amount of fear. And that's why when I ask people, how you doing? I know a lot of people are texting everybody every day and saying, how you doing? And my answer always back is I'm adjusting to our new world, figuring it out, because I don't think really anybody knows what to say. And again, that's okay. So again, like I always do, I can only speak from my perspective, but I can tell you this. When big occurrences and big events happen, we start to see who people truly are, from our leaders to our friends and family to potentially the despise the word celebrity, but like the people who are in influencing positions. We start to really see who they are, everybody, because, pressure reveals things, and we're in it right now. We're all in it. And who you are will be revealed. So somebody told me a long time ago when I was lucky, I had 2 nickels to rub together. Somebody who had money said, money reveals you. If you're kind of a dick, you're going to be like a super dick. And if you're cool, you're going to be like the coolest, like coolio cool. Like you're going to be cool. It just enhances who you are. I think pressure does the same thing. I think it reveals you. And like I said, my default button that was installed in me when I was born was whenever situations occurs, I think of how I can help people right away. Because it's never about me. It's always about the other people. It's always about the other person. Because that, to me, is the true definition of a human. That all being said, I know nothing. I have no idea what's going on. And I'm trying to figure it out minute by minute. But the one thing I can say from my own experience is that we can't let the fear and anxiety take us over. While it's beneficial because it kicks you into action, use it to do that. Don't use it to stifle you. Don't use it to suppress you. Use it to make you rise up. Fear throws people into action. Anxiety makes me run 1,000,000 miles an hour. Anxiety and fear that I'm not going to do everything I want to do in this life makes me laser focused on my goals. I think that in this fearful time, what we can do is we can use this time that we have and to figure out how we can help as many people as possible and to see who we really are. To all my friends out there that are dealing with the virus and dealing with being sick and have lost loved ones and are scared, I'm here. I'm always here. And I will do absolutely anything I can every day, whether it be on the smallest scale to the biggest scale. And that's it. I love you all. I appreciate you all more than anything. So when you hear this, know that we'll get through this because we get through everything, one way or another. This is Theory.
Amazon is hiring near you. Earn a competitive wage and start as soon as 7 days. No resume or experience required. Health and safety are a top priority with all of our roles and sites. Amazon is taking precautions in our buildings to keep people healthy. Go to amazon.com/apply. That's amazon.com/apply. Amazon is an equal opportunity employer.